Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. Thank you for listening. If you are not a regular subscriber, it's free. So you can click any of the links at the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi website. Use your favorite podcast provider, and we would appreciate you, doing the subscription download every single day. That way you never really miss a thing, ever.
Sam, you were telling us today that your mom's dog, Porkchop, has gone on. And actually, she took him to the vet.
Yeah.
And did the most difficult thing you ever do with a pet. And then she brought him home because she's going to bury him in the yard.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, we all go through this. If you have pets, you go through this. You find that day. What's the saying? Having a dog will give you, thousands of great days in your life and one of the worst.
Oh, I've never heard that, but I understand that.
Yeah. Many great days and then one of the worst. And it's true. So,
because we typically outlive our pets, and yes, so that
always,
right.
Unless you're talking about a parrot, we do outlive all pets.
Well, or
those parrots that live,
unless you get a dog when you're 97 years old. Although you could still, you can still outlive that dog, I suppose.
Hey, don't forget tortoises; they live a long time too.
It's true. You have to have a plan for pets like that.
Yeah.
Like somebody in the family has to agree, if something happens to you.
I said, do you want my turtle?
He only weighs a couple 100 pounds.
I bring it up because you said that she brought him home because she wants to bury Porkchop in the yard.
Yeah.
And it threw me back to, I grew up in the country, and when we would lose a pet, my dad would bury them in the yard.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the way. I had never heard of pets being cremated when I was a little girl. And then now that's what we do. That's all we do. I think you buried one of our dogs, Murphy, at the first house we lived in when we were married. You remember?
Yes, I do.
You didn't bury a cat? I thought you buried a cat.
I did that too.
Okay, well, that was...
I buried the dog. I buried a cat. I also buried a fish. Now,
that was a mistake.
The fish resurfaced, remember? So I don't mean like came back to life.
You mean a zombie?
I don't think you buried it. I think Phoebe and her childness.
No. You don't remember that? I helped bury it. So the fish was... This is stupidity, pure stupidity on my part, okay?
Do tell.
The fish died. The girls were horrified about the prospect of flushing him to his permanent place.
She was
right?
a young girl.
And I understand that.
Died.
So it's like, okay, so, I'll put him in a Ziploc bag, and then I'm just going to bury him in the backyard. And that's exactly what I did. And
Ziploc bag.
And about 4 years later, when we started fostering dogs, the dog dug it up. Now, this was 5 years later, so it was kind of weird to me because it was a Ziploc bag that only had two eyes in it.
That's so gross.
And a little bit of liquid, nothing else.
Excuse me, it's amazing that it had that if it was really 4 years.
Right. So,
Did you get a picture?
No.
Come on.
No, I did not get a picture.
That's for Sam. Take a picture.
We do have a picture of that day, though, because Phoebe, it was after school. She had a friend that came over to play with her, and she was like, come see my fish. I want to show you my fish. And Phoebe was mortified because the fish was floating. Oh. And it was like she came home to school. And anyway, her friend was over, and so her friend helped her,
Put it in a Ziploc?
Yeah, put it in a Ziploc.
Which is not, it's not, the plastic's not going to biodegrade, the advertisements are pretty straight up for a Ziploc and how they work, and, it worked pretty well.
I took a picture. I don't know why. Maybe they told me to, because Phoebe was very ceremonial about all of that, always. Yeah. In fact, to this day, when we lose a family pet, she is very ceremonial about it. She takes her time with the grief. She won't talk about it. Then when she's ready to talk about it, we have to say goodbye to it in some way. For her dog, Felix, which was her first toy dog, we let her have a funeral. Yeah. And we invited friends over to say goodbye to Felix. No kidding. But so I took a picture of them out in the yard, and she had made a little, memorial thing for this fish. And the picture kills me because when it comes up and when I see it, her friend is like, smiling big because this friend has no emotional connection to this fish, and Phoebe is a mom knows. Right. I can see that she's trying not to cry.
Yeah, is that the one that she did the red balloon for? Didn't she let go of balloon for?
No, that was Taylor letting go of the balloon for my cat.
Our cat, Black and White.
Yeah, whose life ended horribly because of wild dog in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we don't have to tell that story.
Let's not.
But you know the sweetest thing about Taylor releasing that balloon into the air, because it really was precious.
She needed to say goodbye.
She needed to. She even drew a picture of him on there and wanted to send the balloon to heaven to say goodbye. And the balloon goes up in the air. And as soon as the balloon gets out of sight, she turns and says, "So, Mom and Dad, when are we getting a dog?"
Can we get a dog? And then we started getting dogs, and the rest is history.
Right. So that's
back
one
to
reason
the-
I gave it the burial. That Ziploc thing unfortunately sticks with me. It flashed back to every horror movie I ever saw as a child. Because, you know, 2 eyes floating in a Ziploc bag is just like, I can't unsee it, you know?
What'd you do with the bag after that?
Threw it away. Right. Well, I wasn't going to rebury it because it would show back up again probably in 6 or 8 months, you know? Or,
Yeah.
How deep did you bury it that they dug it up?
I don't
mean,
know.
not too
But
deep.
obviously not far enough.
You were tired.
I didn't think I needed to go that far with it. It's a fish.
Yeah.
A foot under the ground should suffice.
Oh,
I wasn't anticipating anything was going to come dig it up, you know? So
Anyway, I go back to your mom because
Oh, by the way, that was a big thing on my mom's list.
What?
She wanted to make sure that it was my brother dug far enough down so that
sure.
no neighborhood varmints dug him up.
See, it's tough for me with a dog. And I know we're not making light of the
No,
serious
it's
parts of this,
horrible.
but
It's
you
so
know,
sad.
that's the reason with our bigger dogs, I just can't. I mean, I personally can't dig a hole that big. It's too
Not
difficult.
only that.
And right, exactly. I'm never going to get that hole deep enough to do what it should really do. So, you know, we leave that to the professionals, you know, who
I will
really,
tell you
and
this.
in a very respectful way, handle what they handle.
It's just the way it used to be because you didn't have places that were, you know, doing that to pets.
No, you're
when
right.
we were growing
You're
up,
right,
you had no
exactly.
choice. I mean, I don't know what you did. Maybe some people called the vet and the vet would sort of, you know, take care of it for you. I have no idea. But I grew up in the country. We had a barn. I was always running around barefoot. And when I tell you, my dad would bury the animals, he would bury the animals. And so I kind of would know the areas of the yard where I wanted to stay away.
avoid?
Or where I would go to talk to my old dog, kind of a thing.
Did you put little headstones or?
I did not put little headstones, and I'm glad that I didn't. But it's just funny to me that, you know, she wants to do that now, knowing that she has the opportunity to have him cremated.
Yeah, and the thing is, when she said she was doing that, it was odd because we've never done that. I mean, we've had dogs that took the trip to the vet and never came back.
Right. And so the vet.
I mean, we've had gerbils that, well, of course, I don't know what they did with the gerbils.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, that could have been the old garbage can, too, for all I know.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know. When the
You don't know.
gerbils passed, you just never saw
It's a
them again.
decision
that's
that families come to.
Yeah.
Every family that has pets, you come to these decisions, and it's nobody else's business what you do, but you do come to those decisions.
Yeah.
And the more pets you have, the more those decisions. We have a bearded dragon, Murphy, who's seems to be healthy and is 7 or 8 years old. What do you think's going to happen one day when that thing is?
Well,
Yeah.
we've already lost one, remember?
I know that, but
And we didn't bury
was
that
at-
one.
No, that one we lost it at the vet. And
Well, we didn't
were-
lose it at the vet. It ran away at the vet.
Not really. No,
No,
he was very sick.
Right,
and
he was
so
very
he
sick.
died there.
Right, he died there, and so
they took care of
they did. Right, they handled the respectful whatever.
They
you know.
sent us back a claw
Eulogy.
print. We have a claw print instead of a paw print.
Yeah.
It's cool looking. And that's
Yeah,
it
it is.
It was Phoebe's dragon, which is good because, like I just told you, she out of all of us is the most ceremonial with pets.
Did they make an ornament out of it?
No,
I
but
think
Phoebe has it.
It's whatever it's cast in.
It's round, but
whatever
it's so cool because it's his claw.
Yeah.
Well, you think it is, yeah.
I know
What,
that
you
it
think
is.
they faked it?
They got a whole thing of stamps.
There's no wrong way to do it. Okay, I'm not
Big dog or little dog? That's a little one. Okay, stamp. There you go.
in your cartoon. line, yeah.
$200.
$250. Okay, but I see I'm losing my train of thought. There's no wrong way to really do it. You know, it's,
I didn't ask her why she's burying it because, like I said, we've never, as a family, buried animals. It's always just been.
maybe she didn't. Is she one of those like if I don't have to pay for this, I'm not going to pay for this,
It
or
could
was she,
be financial. I don't know.
and there's
Maybe
nothing wrong
she's-
with that.
Maybe she's just looking for things for your brother to do. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, right? Isn't he the assigned person to take care of this?
Well, she wanted him to go to the vet with her,
Yeah.
And
and he wouldn't.
Okay.
oh
So
no,
I guess the least he could do is pick up a shovel.
I would have gone. I would have gone with her. I've done that more times than I want to. And it is the right thing to do.
It is.
I'm going to send your mother a note, or I'm going to call her. I'm worried about her.
The vet even
It's
told
sweet.
her,
It's-
look, we've got these other dogs, people that are looking for homes. They were hitting her up for that. And she's like, no, I'm not ready.
When
Not yet.
when you're not ready. No.
No.
Now, if you've ever, rescued a dog, I think that, when you're ready again, do it again. Do it in honor of that rescued pet.
Yeah.
I will always have a rescue pet.
It's a personal decision, but I can tell you it's always helped us to get through that. And we've always had a pack of dogs. So we've done this, unfortunately, more than we've ever wanted to. It doesn't ever get easier because you have an emotional attachment, even when you know it's the humane and right thing to do.
There are certain ones that are harder, though. I can tell you there's one that when the day comes, I will have to be off from work. I will miss. And you know his name.
Yeah, Champ.
I
don't know.
don't want to talk about it, but
Well, you don't have to talk about it. I understand.
I am more attached to him than I've ever been to any animal.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to think about that. But even in that case, I wouldn't want him buried in the yard.
Well, you don't have to worry about that.
Anyway.
Unless our neighbor's handy with a shovel.
Hey, what was the one that you
No.
brought to the vet a couple times and it would snap
Oh, that
awake?
was Piggy.
Piggy.
Yeah.
Piggy the pug. She had 9 lives. Yeah, every time she was on her deathbed, and they're like, "I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs.
What
Murphy."
they would
you're
recommend us.
Right. Yeah. You're going to need to, make a decision. I'm going to step out of the room. And we're like, okay. All right. Can we come back tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. And then so the next day comes, and it's that moment. And they open the door, and here she comes, wagging her tail and butt, and all it's like, this is not a dog we can put down. This
Even
dog is
after
happy.
she lost
this
an
dog is
eye.
healthy. Right.
Remember
You're
she
gonna bury
lost
this
an
thing
eye?
alive.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
She
Right.
was the one-eyed pug, and she came back with a vengeance to our house, and vocal and just one eye, but more.
She was the one that had
courage.
the vet. I don't want to say pronounced her dead, basically, but the vet basically said this was over when we brought her into the room, and there was a projectile incident, for lack of a better term, that
Which end?
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Doesn't
that means
matter.
the other end.
the one that's typically more explosive is the end. Yeah, and he did, like, it was kind of a tough moment. We're like, oh, okay, but she was fine. But yeah, we took her to the emergency after hours. It was always after hours.
It was always triple,
but it cost
triple,
a fortune.
triple
Right,
cost.
exactly.
We've never had a pet have an emergency
Right.
if it wasn't on the weekend.
It's because the second time it was the same thing. We called the next morning. So we just wanted to check on Piggy. How's she doing? Well, she's doing great. She really bounced back in the middle of the night.
Wait, look.
Again?
I am going to reach out to your mom. I just worry. I'm worried about her. You know the reason why it's so hard? No, it's not just the obvious that you love them. It's one of the most uncomplicated relationships you have in your life. It is unconditional, and you love caring for them, and you don't have to teach them responsibility, and you don't have to teach them to pay bills, and you don't have to hope they launch. It's just a beautiful relationship without words, but you do communicate. There's something so beautiful about it. And that's one thing about your mom. Your mom is a natural mother. And so those babies that you say she overfeeds are like children to her that don't have to grow up.
Yeah.
And so she's lost, kind of like a child to her.
She has other dogs, right?
Yeah, she's got 2.
2 dogs. And is there a cat around there too, or not? It's just dogs.
I don't think the cats
Would she
are
like
there
one?
anymore.
Oh.
The cats belong to my niece when she lived at my mom's house.
Okay.
I think she finally took all her cats.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then obviously she doesn't need another dog then because she still has 2
Yeah.
at home. I understand that too.
And I'm
yeah.
sure they're not long timers either.
Oh, really?
When you talk
Just
to
thinking
her,
about
why
her.
don't you throw in a little fun and nice way of saying don't feed them as much?
I'll ask her about it, but I'm not going to tell her what to do with her pets.
Well, I think, Jodi, it's very sweet that you want to do that
I'm going
for
to.
Miss Judy.
Yeah.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.